How do you deal with adversity? What do you do when people tell you that you can't do something? Are you willing to bet on yourself to achieve your childhood dreams? Most people abandon those dreams far too early in life and settle for something safe and secure. Others, like Daniel Nava, thrive off of that adversity. Nava was an undersized teenager who barely made his high school team and received a tryout from local Santa Clara University on a favor. He was cut from that team, but stuck around as their equipment manager before leaving to play JUCO ball. He would return to Santa Clara for his senior season and lead the league in hitting before going undrafted. A year after graduating and initially being told he wasn't good enough, Nava signed with an indie ball team and led that league in nearly every offensive category. The Boston Red Sox bought the rights to his contract for just $1. He would fight and crawl his way through the minor leagues and finally get the call up at 27 years old and made history on the first pitch he saw. Nava would be sent down and spend the next 2 years in the minor leagues before becoming a regular in the Red Sox lineup and hit arguably the most important home run in the city of Boston's history en route to a World Series championship. This is the incredible story of Daniel Nava, the undersized, forgotten about equipment manager who fought his way to a professional contract, signed for a single dollar, and retired with a World Series ring on his finger. One of the most well-known tales of perseverance is that of Rudy, an undersized kid with a lot of heart. He had to fight his way to not only gain entry to Notre Dame, but also onto the football team and ultimately the field. His playing career consisted of a pair of snaps and concluded with a game-ending sack and him getting carried off the field by his teammates. Also, I'm not saying Rudy was offsides, but man, it was close. The thing that Rudy heard over and over again is that he wasn't big enough to play football, that he was too small and couldn't compete at the caliber in which Notre Dame played football at. Daniel Nava heard something similar. As a freshman in high school, Nava stood a measly 4'8" and weighed just over 80 pounds. After 2 years on the JV squad and a year riding the bench on the varsity team, Nava finally became the team's starting center fielder as a senior. He'd grown a bit to 5'7", 160 pounds, but that's still relatively small for a senior in high school. Nava's senior season was pretty solid, hitting around 270 out of the 9-hole, which is good, but not really going to turn the heads of D1 coaches. After high school, Nava enrolled in nearby Santa Clara University, a lower-level D1 program that's produced around 30 Major League Baseball players in its history. Through a favor to his high school coach, Nava attempted to walk onto the program but was cut shortly after. Still undersized, Nava struggled to hit the ball out of the infield, but head coach Mark O'Brien loved his work ethic and attitude. He wanted Nava around the team and offered him the position of equipment manager, in which he was responsible for washing uniforms, helping out during practice, running some drills, and in return he was allowed to work out with the team. By his sophomore year, Nava had found the weight room and had fully grown into his 5'10", 200-pound frame. He was taking batting practice one day and hitting balls harder and further than most of the team, and Coach O'Brien started wondering if they should add him to the roster, but they couldn't afford him a scholarship. Nava's family was struggling financially, forcing him to leave Santa Clara for a JUCO after just 2 years as their equipment manager. Nava would play 2 seasons at the College of San Mateo and was a JUCO All-American during his time there. He had a year of eligibility left over, and Coach O'Brien wanted him back at Santa Clara, the school that had once cut him. He would go on to lead the West Coast Conference in batting average and OBP, while earning first-team WCC honors in his lone season of D1 ball. After going undrafted in 2006, Coach O'Brien urged Nava to keep playing ball, and he tried out for some indie ball teams, none of which he made. Nava would spend the winter working out and staying in baseball shape, and he would finally earn himself a contract for the 2007 season. Daniel Nava first tried out for the Chico Outlaws of the Golden Baseball League in the summer of 2006, and they initially turned him away. Needing to fill a roster spot, the Outlaws gave Nava a call in 2007 with an offer and a uniform, one he would be wearing before he washed it. After leading the Outlaws to a championship with 12 dingers and a .371 average, he gathered some interest from affiliated baseball. The Boston Red Sox had been one of the first teams to sign players from independent leagues, with Kevin Millar being the most notable a few years prior. Their director of scouting, Jared Porter, had liked what he saw in Nava and wanted to bring him to Boston. The Outlaws worked out a deal in which they sold the rights to Nava's contract to Boston for $1. A single dollar. Thus began Nava's grind to the major leagues. He spent the first 2 seasons in the Red Sox system doing nothing but hitting, putting up a .345 average across single and AA. He started the 2010 season in AAA and continued to produce. After the Red Sox outfield caught the injury bug, the 27-year-old Nava was called up as a temporary replacement. On June 10, 2010, the man who was cut from his college baseball team, transferred out, transferred back, went undrafted, and then was ignored by indie ball teams, was the 17,373rd player to make his Major League Baseball debut. Before the game, Nava was chatting with Red Sox radio announcer Joe Castiglione, who told him to swing as hard as he can at the first pitch he saw, because that's the only first pitch he'll ever see in the major leagues. Nava stepped in for his first career at-bat with the bases loaded and swung hard at that first pitch.
Bases loaded, nobody out, and there's a drive hit deep to right field. Way back, and it is gone into the Red Sox bullpen. A grand slam home run, and the last Red Sox player to hit a home run in his first major league at-bat, you have to go back to 1946, Eddie Pellegrini.
Nava became only the second player in Major League Baseball history to hit a grand slam on the first pitch they saw in the league, joining Kevin Kuzminoff from a few years prior. If that's not a storybook start to Nava's already improbable career, then I don't know what is. He would go on to play 60 games for the Sox in 2010, hitting .242 with an OPS of .711. After getting a taste of the majors, Nava spent all the 2011 season in the minors and began 2012 in AAA. But shortly after, injuries saw the Red Sox recall Nava for a second time. He would embrace his backup underdog role, impressing his teammates with his work ethic and positive attitude. After a solid 2012, in which he saw action in 88 games, to the tune of a .242 average and .742 OPS, Nava looked to earn himself a Major League starting job come 2013. Nava not only won himself a Major League roster spot for the 2013 season, but he also found himself in his first ever opening day lineup, hitting in the two-hole between a prime Jacoby Ellsbury and Dustin Pedroia. Nava got off to a blistering start, hitting .360 with 3 dingers during his first 8 games, and then came Patriots Day. Patriots Day is a day in Boston in which the Boston Marathon is run in the morning and the Red Sox play at home in the early afternoon. 2013 was the year of the tragic Boston Marathon bombing that saw the Red Sox game canceled later that day. After a 3-game series in Cleveland, the Red Sox returned home on April 20th for the first game since the bombing to celebrate the great city of Boston and the heroes that protect it. David Ortiz gave a memorable speech prior to the game, which fired up not just Red Sox fans, but people all across the nation.
This jersey that we wear today, it doesn't say Red Sox. It say Boston. This is our city. And nobody gonna dictate our freedom.
Big Papi's speech was not only inspirational, but showed the world that Bostonians would persevere through any adversity. With the Red Sox down 2-1 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning, it's only fitting that Nava, a man whose career is defined by perseverance and adversity, would come up clutch with a go-ahead, game-winning 3-run home run that sent Boston into a frenzy.
Nava hits it in the air to right field. Francoeur going back. He's at the wall. Boston, this is for you. A 3-run home run for Daniel Nava puts the Sox on top, 4-2.
Nava would be a regular in the Red Sox lineup during the 2013 season, playing in 134 games and hitting an impressive .303 with an .831 OPS. At season's end, the Red Sox found themselves atop the AL East standings and took their momentum into the postseason, taking down the Rays and Tigers with ease to face the Cardinals in the World Series. Nava would appear in 5 of the 6 games in the Fall Classic, starting in games 3, 4, and 5. And after Koji Uehara struck out Matt Carpenter, Daniel Nava became a World Series champion. The man who was told he was too small, told he wasn't good enough, told to wash the uniforms of the team he wanted to play for, undrafted after his second chance at Santa Clara, told by indie ball teams that he wasn't good enough, sold for the lowest possible amount a person's contract can be sold for, thought of as a backup, an injury replacement, an afterthought, was now a World Series champion. Not only was he a champion, but he was also a key member of a World Series winning Boston Red Sox team. In a year that the city had endured so much suffering and pain and needed their team to step up for them, the Boston Red Sox delivered. Daniel Nava delivered. Nava would struggle and split time between the majors and AAA in 2014 and was designated for assignment in July of 2015 by the Red Sox. The team that had taken a chance on him had given up on him again, this time for the final time. The Rays claimed him a week later, and Nava played out the remaining of 2015 in Tampa. The Angels signed him to a 1-year deal in 2016 and traded him to the Royals, who released him near the end of that season. He signed a deal with the Phillies in 2017, where he spent the final 80 games of his Major League Baseball career. Daniel Nava's story is one of the most remarkable in the history of Major League Baseball. He was disregarded by so many people in his career, but his drive and determination earned him an opportunity that he ran with. In his rather short Major League career, he hit 2 of the most iconic home runs in the game's history and walked away with a ring on his finger. Daniel Nava's story should inspire anyone to keep pushing for what they really want in life and to never take no for an answer.